All right, good evening. We are going to go ahead and get started with tonight's meeting. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job, everybody.
Next, we will have introductions, and we will start with Mr. Ott.
Griffin Ott.
Jessica Bigley. Bowman.
Greg Eating.
Rachel Wade.
Jason Beckrow.
Bill Scaletta.
Scott Allen.
Lori Van Koenig.
Next, we will approve the agenda for this evening's meeting. Board members, you've had a chance to look that over. Any questions? If not, I would accept a motion to approve.
Moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to approval of our consent action items, which this evening include the minutes from our February 10th Board of Education meeting and the financial statements and bills that were reviewed by the Finance Committee last week. Any questions on that? If not, I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
And this is a roll call vote, so Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mrs. Bigley?
Aye.
Dr. Beckrow?
Aye.
Mr. Scaletta?
Aye.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Von Koenig?
Aye.
And I vote aye. All right, I have a feeling I know what the good news about our schools is this evening, but Mr. Eating, why don't you introduce our guests?
Absolutely. Roosevelt Elementary is here to talk about their fourth grade trip to Lansing. Mrs. Kinsel, or?
Thank you. You are correct, Mr. Eating. I have our three fourth grade teachers here that I will introduce. We have Miss Beck, Miss Clemson, and Mrs. Mills. Miss Clemson, did you want to kick us off with a little bit about the history of our trip to Lansing? And then we're going to let the kids introduce themselves to you when it's their turn to speak. Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks a lot for that. So this is my 28th year teaching, but my 25th year in Lakeshore, which makes it my 22nd year teaching fourth grade. Awesome. So as long as I've been teaching fourth grade, we have been doing this. And if any of you are familiar with Mr. Tim Morrell, he had done this trip for at least a decade or more prior. We arranged for the kids to go on a charter bus, which they all love the fact that there's a bathroom in it. And we go to the Michigan Historical Museum, where we tour 2 floors of Michigan history from the beginning, Ice Age, all the way through as current as they can get it. And then we also tour the Capitol building, both Senate and House chambers, the governor's ceremonial office, as well as talking about the refurbishing of our Capitol and the 2 Capitols prior. With that, I will hand it over to our students who have worked very hard to make this presentation for you. Molly?
Hi, my name is Molly Tukowski. Our 4th grade classes recently went to visit our state capitol in Lansing. One of my favorite parts of the tour was sitting down on the floor of the rotunda and looking up at the ceiling. The ceiling had a few real gold stars on it and had multiple paintings on it too. It is important because the paintings were of important Greek muses. They represent the 8 priorities of the state in the late 19th century. It was also really cool because of how high up the ceiling was. It was a huge excitement to get the chance to go and see the beautiful ceiling in Capitol. The experience was really cool and fun, and I wish I could go back.
Hi, my name is Landon. I thought the governor pictures were a cool part of the state capitol because every governor has a painting. The painting to the right is probably one of my favorite paintings. Now you're probably wondering that painting doesn't look finished. Well, that governor wanted his painting to look like that. He said that he had felt like he had not finished his year.
Hello, my name is Jackson Fry, and I really enjoyed the governor's ceremony office. The fancy furniture and the chandeliers were unique and interesting. I also like the patterned carpet. Sadly, you can't go in, but you can get a pretty good view of the office. Some of the stuff that is there is original to the building. The governor uses this office to sign bills into law and take pictures for publicity. The governor that works there is Governor Whitmer. She also has another office across the street. The Michigan flag was also in there. You can see it right by the window. In the room, everything was historical. Like I said, some of the stuff that's there is original. If you look at the ceiling, you can see a lot of patterns, and if you look closely, you can see some gold. Another cool part of this place is the door hinges. You're probably thinking in your head, door hinges, what are so special about door hinges? Well, if you look at the hinges, they have special details, and they also are original to the building. You can tell that they're very old.
Hi, my name is Sophia. In the Capitol building, I enjoyed the fossils because I liked how the fossils were different and none were the same. The white tiles are made or marble, and the black ones are limestone. Both blocks are from Vermont. The limestone blocks have marine snails. Another way to explain it is saltwater snails. Other fossils that are in the black tiles are marine animals, or other marine animals.
Awesome.
Hello everyone, my name is Noelle. Throughout the Lansing trip, one of my favorite things to go to and explore was the Senate bleachers. We could look up in the ceiling our tiles with the state seal for each state in our country. When you look down, you can see the chamber where the senators sat for meetings. I was really excited about seeing this. I wish I can experience this part of the trip all over again. It filled my mind with so much education that I will remember forever. I can't wait for the next 4th grade's field trip to see how much they stored in their minds. Thank you.
This slide belongs to Connor Merrill, but unfortunately he was unable to make it today, so I will read it instead. I enjoyed the House of Representatives floor because the view was really cool from the seats above it. Also, it was really cool to see the desks and what was on them. My favorite part was looking at the desk where the Speaker of the House sits. Another really cool feature are the lights. The lights were beautiful. You can just tell by the photo. It's just a privilege to even be able to go and see the House of Representatives. It looks and feels like you are one of the people that needs to be there. It feels like you're part of something special. Even just going to the state capitol is the most wonderful and privileged thing I have probably ever done. My favorite part of the tour in the Michigan Historical Museum was the section called Michigan and the Civil War. It had a bunch of displays of old American flags and had a couple of mini displays of what a camp in the war might have looked like. Another example of one of the exhibits is the Conceived in Liberty exhibit. It focuses on the end of the Civil War and the Reconstruction period, with artifacts from the 1st Regiment Michigan Volunteers, Engineers, and Mechanics. One thing that was interesting to learn was that the first American flag was approved by Congress in 1777 and had only 13 stars on it instead of 50. The Michigan and the Civil War exhibit is important because it helps you visualize what it looked like all the way back when the Civil War was going on. The experience was really cool and interesting, and it was an honor to be there.
I thought the schoolhouse was a cool thing to see because it made me. I was in school in the 1800s. Our teacher showed us around the room and told us what school was like in the 1800s. The seats were like bench seats and attached to the floor, and instead of using paper, they used slates. There would be a student during the day to keep the fire going. The drinking fountain was just a bucket of water with a ladle, and the bathroom was a wood shed outside. I thought the mining cave was cool because I liked how they showed the materials they used to mine the caves. The most important information is how mining has changed, such as the headgear to getting the materials out of the cave, and what was being mined in the state, such as copper, iron, and salt.
I picked the Detroit Auto exhibit. I really enjoyed the different cars that were there, like the Fords and the old-fashioned cars. One thing I noticed is that these cars were completely different than the cars that you see today. Some of them looked like wagons a little bit. In my opinion, they look amazing no matter what. In fact, some of them were wagons. They kind of looked like Jeeps, like an older version. One thing that I learned was the different type of cars and how they looked back then. For example, this Corvette looks way more vintage than today's Corvette. Another thing that I learned was these cars were a lot cheaper than today's cars. Back then, they were at least $3,000. Today's pricing is around $70,000. What a big difference.
Connor Merrill has also put together something about the museum. Unfortunately, he can't attend like Molly said, so I will read this for him. Connor Car Industry. The car industry was a really good time because we walked through the first assembly line. One really cool fact was more than 30,000 people worked on the Model T. The Model T was one of the first cars ever made. One of my favorite things to see that a lot of people missed is the rocket ship where the tiny moon rocks are. An astronaut also brought home a flag. These tiny moon rocks are real rocks from the moon. They are very valuable. I really enjoyed seeing this. I wish I could do it over again. It was truly the coolest thing ever.
Nice job, everybody.
Board members, any questions for this evening's presenters?
Did you get to see our representative? Representative Wenzel, I do believe it would be, so. That's too bad.
That was really fantastic, guys. Thank you for the presentation. Makes me want to go to Lansing now.
And the awesome thing is, you can go back to the Capitol anytime you want. This doesn't have to be the last time you go by any means.
Does trips like this make you more interested in learning about history in general? That's a good thing. Awesome.
You grateful to your teachers for coordinating and all the parents who helped chaperone?
Yeah.
My kids both went to Roosevelt, and I remember them going on their trip to the Capitol. And Miss Clemson, do you even remember some of the kids in Sean's class got to have their picture taken with Rick Snyder, who was the governor at the time.
Right, and was it his class that got the Thanksgiving ad with Representative Crowes?
Oh, I don't remember that part.
One year we did that as well.
That's
So
awesome.
It's been a few years since the representatives or senators have given us any representation.
Well, maybe we can all write them some nice emails and suggest that they make themselves available next time.
I'll
Wonderful.
just add two things. First of all, our 8th graders just got back on Sunday, I believe, from Saturday or Sunday, from their trip to Washington, D.C., which is an opportunity that you'll have when you go to middle school in your 8th grade year. So super fun trip, and I know they had a lot of history and government learnings on that trip as well. So kind of a cool thing. And I know Miss Perkins at the high school here had both Representatives Paquette and Andrews in this past fall, just to kind of question and answer about different things with law and government too. So another opportunities as you get older to really study and understand history and government a little bit more.
Well, your presentation this evening was wonderful, very detailed, and we all really appreciate it and are glad you had such a great trip. So thank you for being here this evening.
All right.
Thank you. You can feel free to leave now if you want.
My grandfather had an Imperial. It was push button automatic too, so, with the fins, yeah. So
Nice.
it was nice, just like that one.
All right, next on our agenda is our superintendent's informational report.
Fantastic. Starting off with Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat that was performed in February. and it was absolutely amazing. I was actually able to attend the dress rehearsal on Thursday. I thought everything was literally perfect. Congratulations to a group of very talented students, as well as to our staff for being able to see all of their hard work pay off. It's a great show. Niche updated their list of top schools in Michigan, and Lakeshore is named number 36 of 538 school districts. The grades were based on academics, teachers, clubs and activities, diversity, college prep, and administration. Lakeshore coming in the top 7% of all school districts in the state is a testament to the amazing staff, students, and families that call Lakeshore home. It's a very proud moment, I think, for all of us. I'm taking part in a Berrien County RESA subcommittee focused on systems that can aid in managing elementary student behavior. The committee has 2 items that are currently being researched. One is developing behavior coaches that can be used all throughout the county to help with managing behavior and teaching staff how to manage the students without getting hurt. And the second is to look into options of a general education transition room run by the RESA that could be used when the student needs to be removed from school for a period of time. I'll keep the board updated on the progress of those committees. We recently had 2 half-days for staff professional development. Secondary staff worked in teams focused on their PLC work and combined to have professional development around the uses and benefits of artificial intelligence, AI, both for students and staff. And the elementary discussed the reading intervention program, the upcoming parts of the reading curriculum, and provided input on the master schedule for next year. And on Friday, February 14, the middle school hosted their annual career day, which was awesome. I was able to stop by for about an hour before I had to go to a student superintendent meeting at the Berrien RESA. But I know that was always that's every single year a fantastic opportunity for connections within our community. So very fun.
Next is our student representative report. So Kennedy, what do you have to share with us this evening?
This past month, I met with Hollywood Elementary Student Lighthouse Team and the high school student voice team. We discussed possible concerns and/or ideas that they may have had to bring to the board and the building administrator. Items that were talked about including adding more lunch options, getting Hollywood's garden fixed, the school day schedule and timing of classes, and locker issues. The board and the building administrators will receive a full handout of these items. I will be reaching out to Stewart and Roosevelt student leadership groups this upcoming month to discuss any concerns or ideas they may have as well.
Excellent, thank you. Moving on to our Board of Education reports. First up is the Community Connections Committee. Mr. Allen, could you share that report, please?
Sure. The Community Connections Committee met on Tuesday, February 11th. Present at the meeting were Rachel Wade, Jessica Bigley, Susan Toothman, Greg Eating, and myself. The committee continued working on the community forum that will take place in late April. An agenda for the night was sketched out that will include a presentation with 4 areas of focus and opportunities for participants to learn more about each focus area as they desire. The full plan will go out to all board members and the district before spring break.
Thank you. The Student Success Committee, Mrs. Bigley, could you share that report, please?
Yes, the Student Success Committee met on Tuesday, February 25th. Present in the meeting were Bill Scaletta, Greg Eating, Jaron Blood, Natalie Maserata, and myself. The committee was trained in the use of Menetrix, an online database used to disseminate data in public schools. All board members will receive login credentials information and will be shown how to use the database to look up information. The board credentials take into consideration FERPA rules. Thus, no specific student information is shown. This will be a great tool for our district as we move forward with our strategic plan updates.
Excellent, thank you. And the Facilities and Finance Committee report, Mrs. Von Koenig, could you share that, please?
On Tuesday, March 4th, the Facilities and Finance Committee met, consisting of Rachel Wade, Griffin Ott, Greg Eating, Tracy Althouse, myself, and guests Nick White and Kennedy Bowman. Items discussed but not limited to include the following. Tracy presented the monthly financials, which included budget to actual and checks issued through February, investments, and interest income. Nothing of concern was noted. Tracy discussed budget changes, which will be presented in the April budget modification, including MIPSR's, the state school employee retirement system payments. Preliminary enrollment projections as well as 23-24 school year county and state comparisons were reviewed. More information will be presented at the April committee meeting. Tracy gave a brief update of the 3% MIPSR's reimbursement plans. Information will be going out to the staff shortly. And then Nick White updated the committee on bond expenditures as well as the upcoming bond project number 4, which includes the middle school freezer space renovations.
Thank you. And lastly, the Culture and Leadership Committee, Mr. Scaletta, could you share that, please?
Sure. The Culture and Leadership Committee met on Friday, March 7th. Present at the meeting were Griffin Ott, Susan Toothman, Greg Eating, and myself. The committee reviewed the staff survey data, discussed the overall goals, and the points that were learned for this year's survey. Susan Toothman discussed the online course she took through the Michigan Virtual and the unconscious bias. And it said it was an excellent course and might be something valuable for all the staff in the future. The committee reviewed the upcoming plans for the final wellness challenge of the year that Mrs. Toothman is organizing.
Excellent, thank you.
Get ready to get fit.
Next up are recommendations of the superintendent, and we have a bond bid approval request.
Yeah, we have Dave Innes from OAK here to briefly go over the 15 bids as part of bid package number 4, which includes the middle school kitchen addition and bus lot. And then, yeah, you can kind of see that in the report of all the different subgroups of that. I believe we had a fantastic showing for our bids on that day, so.
We did, yes. So yeah, just 15 bid categories, kind of starting with earthwork, concrete, masonry, steel, general trades, metal panel, roofing, aluminum glazing, flooring, painting, food service, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, asphalt, and casework. So this bid category, just to kind of give you a little more feedback on, I know you met with Nick in your facilities meeting as well, but really the addition to the surgery there off the kitchen at the middle school, also including the last parking lot there at the middle school for the bus loop. We'll be handling that this summer as well, along with kind of the upgrades to the staff lounges at a lot of the locations, including the middle school, Roosevelt, and others. So working with the district and our other teams at King Scott to provide more good quality work this summer. So just open that to any questions or any other thoughts the board may have for me.
The only question that came to mind, looked like all the bids were pretty straightforward except for the metal panel. There was an alternate bid there, something was going on. Can you just explain that?
Yeah, certainly. So we had a question during bid time on the metal panels that were designed originally to the outside of the building. We're trying to match the existing metal panel as closely as possible. So with that, we had originally specified that exact panel. And then through conversations with subs and RFI questions, requests for information during the bidding period, worked with our team at King Scott and found that there were other alternate material panels that kind of comprise that, but will also look the same. So we kind of opened that up to bidders to say, you know, your manufacturers that you work with, if you can provide a panel that meets the same quality, meets the same color, meets the same finish, you know, we'd be open to talking about that. So that's one of the categories that we met after we opened bids and post-bid and interview those clients. They were able to do that, and then we were able to get them out here with metal samples actually last week to confirm that, you know, their recommendation did meet. And we did do that with the team at King Scott. So that's kind of cost savings and alternate why that was selected.
Okay.
Any other questions? And yeah, Nick did a great job of going over all of this at the Facilities and Finance Committee meeting and talking about just the number of meals that are being pumped out of that middle school kitchen. Excited for this addition. So any other questions? If not, I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
And this is a roll call vote. So Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mrs. Bigley?
Aye.
Dr. Beckrow?
Aye.
Mr. Scaletta?
Aye.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Von Koenig?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Excellent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Approval of an out-of-state trip.
Yes, high school physics teacher Jeff Chorney is requesting approval for a day trip to Cedar Point on May 20, 2025. 23 physics students will be doing lab activities for a grade in the classroom.
Board members, any
Best trip ever.
any
Sorry.
questions other than can I be a chaperone? If not, I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to school of choice action.
Yes, Section 105, Schools of Choice. Each year, the board will decide on participating in the Schools of Choice program. For the 25-26 school year, I recommend that we continue our involvement in the program on a limited basis. I request that the board grant the administration the authority to determine the number of students accepted at each grade level as enrollment projections for the upcoming year become more defined. Our plan is to open up the Schools of Choice window from April 23rd through May 18. That is about a week earlier this year than what we had normally, but this coincides with our kindergarten roundup in April. That then allows people to then apply for Schools of Choice immediately after that. So it's a nice back-to-back, and it's going to be, I think, a smarter move for us to move a week earlier to not coincide directly with all the other school districts in the area. So.
Excellent. Any questions? If not, I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved. Support. Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? Okay, did we have anyone register for public comment?
We did not.
All right. Then, with nothing else on the agenda, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Thank you for a great meeting.